Bienvenidos nuevamente a esta tarde de Expo Foro Virtual de Turismo Global. En esta ocasión estaremos aprovechando y disfrutando todos los conocimientos de Destinations International a través del panel que nos va a hablar acerca de la reactivación del rol de las economías de los destinos. Así que es un placer en esta ocasión poder presentar a nuestro moderador, que es Eduardo Chaillo, quien está acompañado de Don Welsh, de Jack Johnson, Graciela Padoín y Ana María Vizcasillas, quienes nos van a hablar desde la perspectiva de los destinos y cómo podemos reactivarlos en el marco de este contexto post-pandemia. Así que bienvenido, Eduardo. Eduardo es consultor asesor de la Asociación de Conventions and Visitor Bureaus de Latinoamérica y el Caribe y además es director regional para América Latina de la empresa Maritz Global Events. Bienvenido, Eduardo. Toda la sesión es tuya, así que avancemos.
Muchas gracias, Silvana. And I will switch to English to make the conversation flow between our panelists. And it's an honor for me to conduct this session on a very interesting and important topic about how the destination organizations have a very important role, not only for our sector, but the whole economic reactivation of cities and countries. It is my pleasure to have Mr. Don Welsh. I don't know if you can please help me putting the bio of Don in the screen. Don is a great leader in the destination management, destination marketing arena. He has led one of the most important DMOs in the United States. He was head of Choose Chicago, was so important in the US, as you know, and in the international market. And also he was the chief executive officer of Visit Indy, Indianapolis, and Visit Seattle, which is also a very important destination in the west coast of the United States. Before that, he was an hotelier, which is also very important because he understands both parts of the formula, and he worked for Ritz-Carlton, MGM, and of course, Westin Resorts, where he did a lot of work for Latin America when he was in that important role at Westin. Of course, when he arrived to Destinations International, he has made a lot of changes to really make it global, the scope of every product and every service and everything that Destinations International now do has a global perspective. And that's very important because I think that the work that they do is relevant also for our region in Latin America. So I would ask Don to start the conversation, and then I will introduce one of the panelists. Please, Don.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Eduardo. Always great to see you. And Silvana, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak this evening. Jack and I look forward to the conversation, and we thank you for your partnership. Well, I just want to say buenas noches. Hola, amigos, for allowing this opportunity for me to share a little bit about what we've been working on. And as Eduardo mentioned to you, I've had the privilege of being here a little bit over 4 years. I know many of you on this call. I really wish Silvana could have organized and we could have all been together and having this conversation face to face, but unfortunately, this is not the year for that. And I'm really pleased that you're going to hear directly from Jack Johnson, who I truly believe is one of the most brilliant minds in our industry. And the work that I was smart. The smartest thing I did when I left Chicago, I begged Jack and Melissa Cherry to join me when I came to Destinations International. So their work they're doing is great. Before we turn it over to Eduardo, I just wanted to say that regardless of where you are in the world, this global pandemic, COVID-19, has been the flattener. It has been the equalizer for all of us. I don't care whether you're in Latin America or whether you're in Canada, United States, Europe. It has brought us all down to a common denominator. And I do believe with what I've seen since about March 15th, many of you know that we also have had radical changes in our organization. On March 15th, we had 31 employees at the organization, both in Washington, D.C. and throughout the U.S. And today we have 16. And I must tell you that the first thing we had to do is all of you as leaders, whether you're at a hotel, a destination, or wherever it may be, you've also had to pivot in your businesses. You've had to sort of figure out what, quote, I don't like the word new norm, but the reality, what was the new norm going to be? And then how were you going to make the adjustments both professionally and personally to deal with the changes? And needless to say, they've not been easy. They keep coming and they keep coming. And whether it's natural disasters on top of that, terrorism in the US right now, we have such political fighting right now in this country. So whatever the challenge may be, but I will tell you, I've said this since joining this organization. I think we all believe this because we're in this business, that travel is part of our DNA. It's who we are as human beings, and we will get through this. And I think the data is starting to say, whether it's looking at US data or global data, and I think from conversations we've had with Silvana before, we're starting to see the same thing around the world. And that is that people are going back in their local communities, they're traveling locally, and hopefully that will expand to regional. And hopefully in a period of time that will translate to national. And the piece that concerns me the most is the international piece. Because I, like many of you, prior to this pandemic, I had the good fortune of getting on an airplane, going to Europe 1 week, being in Asia, being in Latin America, and unfortunately, that has radically changed. So I was actually on a call earlier today with our friends from PCMA, looking at what we're going to do from a meeting standpoint, what's happening there. So things are coming back. And I think the encouragement is that we've never worked closer together. We've never been more collaborative. We've never shared more information that's relevant and timely. And I can't tell you how proud I am. I think this is the second or third call that Jack and I have been on today, Zooms, webinars, whatever you want to call it. So the information continues to change, but I can tell you the crisis mode we were in back in March, it has gotten a little bit better every day. And we're beginning to get clarity. And I don't think we've had clarity in quite a few months. So call me the eternal optimist, but I do believe there is power in working together. You got a great panel to hear from today, but I've never been more proud of our industry. We have 600 plus members in 14 countries now, and I've never been more proud of the work that they're doing on behalf of their destinations and their organizations, and we're just proud to be part of it. So Eduardo, thank you for allowing me to sort of open things up. And you're going to hear some great people talk today, and I'm happy to take Q&A at the end. So, Silvana, thank you again, Silvana, for this opportunity.
Thank you for this introductory participation. And I would like to ask also my very good friend and colleague, Ana Maria, to give a little introductory message. But before that, can you put the bio of Ana Maria, please, in the screen? Because I really want to say that I'm so proud of working so close to Ana Maria in so many different projects in our industry, and it has been always a pleasure to work with her. So intelligent, so insightful, and so friendly all the time. We're, as Latin Americans, we're very proud of her leadership. She's a member of the PCMA Board of Directors. She's also a member of the Recovery Task Force in the Events Industry Council. Of course, she's the vice president of our dear association in Latin America, COCAL. She took Puerto Rico to another stage when she was the CEO of Meet Puerto Rico. And of course, she has done several things for Latin America, including a very important product from Destinations International, which is Destination Next, which is such important futurist product for destinations. So, Ana Maria, please, your introductory message.
Sure. Buenas noches, amigos. Bonne noite a todos los que nos acompañan. En deferencia a quienes nos acompañan, me voy a permitir hablar en inglés. Eduardo had asked me in these introductory remarks if we could share how do we perceive the peculiarities of our cultures in Latin America. As Eduardo said, I believe we're very not only optimistic, but we're very passionate about our region. I feel a little bit tonight like the ham in the sandwich. Why? Because I am from the Caribbean, I am from Puerto Rico, and yes, my heart is from the Caribbean. I am a US citizen, but I'm also a Latin person. So in terms of the peculiarities that I see, it is very unique, and I hope to put a little bit of hot sauce in the conversation, and I mean no offense, no quiero ofender a nadie con los comentarios que voy a hacer, y los digo desde este corazón que ustedes saben que muy humilde es, a humble thoughts. I believe in our region, we are in a very unique position right now because we are still having some misperceptions, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit tonight. First, geopolitical, the situation that it's not only the geography, it's also the politics involved. And it has not necessarily nothing to do with who is sitting right now in Washington, whether we like it or not. It's the fact that people looked at North America and many of our friends in Latin America is like, oh, we see Anglicisms and they are perceived as wrong. And you know what? The first CVB was created in a wonderful city that is called Detroit, the heart of innovation, in 1898. So it happens to be in the United States where everything started. So in that way, it's in a very unique situation. Why do I call it geopolitical situation? Because it started there. So sometimes in our region, we look at standards and we're not as consistent as we could be in Latin America. Can we surpass it? Yes, I believe in Spanish, we call it apostolado. So it's done, and Jack, what you've been doing, and all of us have been doing for a long time, which is how long do you keep on talking about the same stories, the storytelling that you tell about these opportunities so people don't see this potential buyer that is out there. We have a unique opportunity in the fact that in our cultures, it is the CVB'S, it is the ministries of tourism, it is the secretariats of tourism. So who does what? Sometimes we have not been able in our own communities to really define who does what between government and the private sector within the Ministry of Tourism or with the CVB. Then we have the concept of associations that is not as embedded or as well developed and oiled as we know it in Canada, as we know it in US, as we know it in Europe. So the issue of governance comes to our communities with CVBs quite often, because a lot of times it depends on what the board is thinking and not necessarily allowing the executives of the organization to do what they have to do. In terms of our cultures, we also have a situation with financing, where the concept that for many of us comes so natural about restaurant tax, rental car taxes, and hotel taxes, or improvement districts that are often paid by someone who is a visitor is not welcome in some of our communities in Latin America, because it's perceived as taxes. Then again, me, el jamón del sándwich, the ham in the sandwich, I have an accent. Yes, I speak English with an accent, and I speak Spanish with an accent because I'm from Puerto Rico. So people laugh at the way we speak in Puerto Rico. But you know what? This language barrier is a wonderful opportunity we have in our hands for DI. And I know Jack and Don will reach out about that. We speak the language of our heart. So as much as we try to understand English, sometimes our heart and our passion take us from following English. That's why we are, Eduardo and Graciela and I, that's why we are so adamant often. And we put our hands like this in hoping the more opportunities we have for tools of our industry to be in Spanish and Portuguese will come to our hearts a lot sooner. And like Steve Jobs says often, follow your intuition. Your intuition will get you to what your heart has to say. So if we can have more stuff in our more opportunities in our languages, it will be a faster growth in our industries. I also believe that we have a little bit of lack of understanding of the essence of destinations organizations. Why? Because the big organizations like Indianapolis, like Seattle, like Barcelona, like Geneva, like Copenhagen, that we had a wonderful presentation this afternoon, not only do they know what they're doing, they share with their community, and they're moving it forward. But in many of our communities in Latin America and the Caribbean, CVBs started just to secure association business from outside the communities. So by doing that, the essence of a DO is a little bit different to the ones that we know. And then in terms of scalability, if I could use that word in English, el concepto de las escalas, in many bureaus that we know around the world, and mainly, and I know now with COVID, many of them have been reduced. The unfortunate situation with staff, there's big numbers, but guess what? In terms of staff, in Latin America, the average would be 1 to 3 employees. I think the vast majority has very little employees versus the big numbers that we have seen in other destinations. I also see part of our culture, adaptability. As much as we like to be in and we like the new things, in Latin America, it is the resistance to change is always around there. Why don't I wait until someone does it first? Oh, they did it great, we'll go with it. I tend to say a lot in Spanish, we are consistently inconsistent. Somos consistentemente inconsistentes. Y digo esto con mucho cariño porque tenemos una capacidad de adaptarnos a las oportunidades y no necesariamente lo estamos haciendo. Unique, Jack, and I think you know this, is that the vast majority of members of the I are small organizations, which is very similar to what we have in our region. So that's a little bit on the peculiarities of our cultural landscape, if you will. Do I believe that we have an opportunity? I think I joined the International Club of Optimism with Don Welsh, where I believe, yes, we do. We just need to shift paradigms. We need to have the guts. We need to have not only positivism, but we need to have the strong belief that we can be the change that our communities need. And if we can have more champions using our cultures as the storytelling to move forward, we will be a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And talking about champions, I would also like to showcase my good friend and colleague, Graciela Padoin. Gracie, as we call her, is one of the best advocates of our profession as the first CDME in Latin America, which I think that's very, very important in South America. So also, she has been a consultant for 20 years. She has worked with different governments, national level, state level, municipality level, especially Argentina and Brazil, Embratur and the Ministry of Tourism of Argentina, as well as several CVB'S in the area. She has worked for the UNESCO, for Embratur, for MMGY and Next Factor, and a lot of Gaining Edge. And of course, she was representing also Visit Houston in the region. So always a pleasure to work with you. And also she's our bridge to the Brazilian market because she speaks wonderfully Portuguese. So Gracie, please.
Gracias, Eduardo. Gracias a todos. Thank you, Don and Jack, to be with us today, and Ana Maria. I share Don's vision that is, I see a bright future, and I share also what the mission that Eduardo and Ana Maria have, that is, you know, as Latins, we understand our culture, but since we travel a lot and we have been touching here and there the best practices, we have seen a brighter world. So we do want these best practices to be shared locally and regionally as well. So I do think that we have an opportunity for Latin America and to rise and shine better when all these changes. And I have had the privilege to learn from Don Anderson and Gary sharing during the CDME. I had taking that certification, and something that I also realized is that we do have very nice cases and best practices of our own. So at the same time that I was getting, I was in the source of the best inspirations that you can have, I learned how to adapt to our reality as well. So certification is definitely something that we need. It is a gap for Latin America, and it was so valuable to my career specifically. But and of course I wish we all could be just like Newport Beach and have their business model and be able to afford a TV channel, right? So we're not McDonald's. What was I thinking, right? We do not have the ISOs like Oscar Cerzales was talking last night. We do not have these quality standards. So we have to admit that we are hard thing it is not easy to understand what we do, who we are, what role we play, and it is confusing for our clients as well. They don't know what to expect when they go from one destination to another. I am not taking our responsibility on doing better what we should and must do. So today, what I see is that Latin America is kind of where the US was like 10 or 20 years ago. We do have an opportunity to grow, to be in a more mature level of destination and organizations. If we are able and we take the courage and we are willing to transform ourselves and reshape, and especially to invest in three very important things. Specific industry, education, and certification is definitely one of them. We need to build capacity and develop abilities. Many of our people used to be engineers or lawyers. That's what they studied. And today is, well, 2020. We have to be more specific. So industry, education, and certification. Not everybody know what a CDME is in our region, and they should, they must, right? Second thing is technology. I guess 9 out of 10 trends, the best trend, the mega trends from Destination Next project, which I have the pleasure to be engaged with pretty much all of you, show that something has to do, these mega trends has to do with technology. So we need CRM, we need database, we need better digital marketing. We need to be able to make decisions driven by data. Of course, technology is here and it's yesterday, right? So we do have to invest in it. And the third thing is linking strategic planning to measurement systems. We have to speak their language. What is the audience? I have to adapt. So I need to be able to pass a message based on number. We need to show a more corporate vision, and it needs to make sense to the community and be aligned to the economic development objectives. So let's speak their language, right? So industry, education, certification, technology, measurement systems, I think this is these are the main things that we need to focus. Especially now, I believe that more than ever, long-term success depends on the ability to become a smart destination, a smart organization, and to evolve. We need to rethink the type of destination and organization we want to be, to make use of design thinking, to focus on a more customer-centric mindset, to be able to discuss things like what type of tourism meeting and business meetings do I want to attract? So let's talk ROI. What type of relationships do I want to build with my residents? I have almost never spoken to my local and regional potential customers. So let's diversify our target markets, not to mention diversify our funding models, right? Not only here, but all around the world. Make questions like, what social legacy and economic impact do I want to generate? So this is advocacy. And this is something that we need to understand, the backstage, the behind the scenes, everything that is behind this word. That's what we need to have in mind. And so based on this new or revised vision of destination and organizations that we want to become, this will determine the way we will act instead of react. Every time we look like firefighters reacting when something happens. So I believe this updated strategy vision, this will make us able to achieve not only the reactivation of our economies, but also have a stronger identity and a repositioned.
You're cutting. I think you're cutting a little bit.
How to make clear the great adds
Y se nos
to
perdió
our
Graciela.
communities.
Si quieres,
And
a ver, esperamos a ver si
that's the
reconecta.
advocacy we were speaking.
Yo le
Seguimos
escribo.
entonces. Si querés,
Yo-
Eduardo, seguí.
Yeah, Gracie,
Ahí está volviendo, ahí está volviendo. A ver. Chicos, ¿entró Graciela?
She's frozen. Yo le escribo. I will write to her. Continue, Eduardo. Don't
Okay.
worry. I will.
okay, well, last but not least, I have the pleasure to introduce my friend Jack Johnson, who is the Chief Advocacy Officer and Board Governors Director of Destinations International. He has a very important role in the organization because he oversees the most relevant strategic programs like Destination Next, for example, or the standard DMAP, which is so important for a region. He has been recognized as one of the 25th most influential leaders in our industry by successful meetings. And he did a wonderful job when he was also at the Choose Chicago, especially modifying the business model of the largest, I think, convention center, I think, in the world, which is McCormick Place. And I think that that's something very important that he did he has been advocating in favor of our industry, against boycotts, against the travel bans, and everything that is in the middle of our important work. So Jack, I would ask you to help us guiding us to the most important products of Destinations International for the region.
Eduardo, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Hola. I first wanted to touch base with something that Ana Maria said, as it seems like I always do when she speaks. But she mentioned two things: language of our heart and resistant to change. And I think that is why we will come back. That's why travel will always be part of us, because I think people as a whole are actually kind of resistant to change, except for when they travel. And that's what is so delightful about travel. They actually shed the inhibitions and they look at things new ways and they try things that they wouldn't try if they were at home. They break habits and they look at things new ways, and they speak the language of the heart, of your heart, which is a phrase I'm going to steal, Ana Maria, because that's really what travel is all about. And that is why, as Don says, it's in our DNA and we're coming back. At Destinations International, like Eduardo said, I am the Chief Advocacy Officer. My job is to help advocate on behalf of our industry, but also to advocate on behalf of destinations and teach them how to do that. I'm going to attempt to share my screen, so stop me if this does not work. All right. That's our mission at Destinations International. We empower our members so that their destinations excel, because we believe in this interconnected world, in this time when we can actually get to just about anywhere, including Antarctica by plane, that every destination, every community is actually competing with every other community, not just for tourists, but for information, for capital, for talent, and everything else. And we're at the core of that. So no destination excels, no destination reaches its maximum achievement without a destination organization at its heart. We break up our tools and our communications and benefits as Destinations International into 5 different areas. Community is our strongest, and we have an online community, which I'll talk about in a second. We have a Destination International blog, which I urge you to check in. We've really reinvigorated that since the crisis, the pandemic has hit. And we provide industry information, career development, and peer-to-peer network. The community is what I'm really excited about, because that allows everyone to communicate directly with each other, whether it's based on group, whether it's based on subject matter, whether it's based on just general interest or an event you are at. It allows everyone to interact with each other, but also ask questions and learn from each other. It is becoming one of our best exchange of information side by side. And this is key, because one of the things that Destinations International does is we don't attempt to find solutions for our destination organizations' problems. We actually attempt to work with destination organizations and come up with solutions together. It's a very, what we call a grassroots approach. Everyone rolls up their sleeves and helps. And that's one of the great things about our industry. Advocacy, my area of specialization. We have an advocacy summit that's coming up in October and again a second day in November. We develop thought leadership. This summer we recently, since the topic of funding came up, we actually broached the topic of actually changing the funding model for destination organizations, moving away from the heads and beds model and moving toward a community benefit model, where everyone who's actually benefiting, not just the hotels and the restaurants or the taxi cabs, but everyone, including the real estate, the universities, the colleges, the hospitals, the major employers, everyone who benefits from the results of tourism, all chip in. We also check on issues that are coming out throughout the world for potential targets. We, a year ago, released the Community Shared Value Strategy, which we feel is actually important and critical for all destination organizations, which calls upon them to be valued within their community by having the residents as their primary customer for everything they do, the tourism, whether it's meetings, whether it's anything related to getting people to visit your destination. We believe that the ultimate beneficiary of that is your community, and they should be your ultimate representative, your ultimate customer, and they should be involved. And to do that, we created the new tourism lexicon, which is a lexicon that we just distilled from looking at how elected officials talk about things that they consider public goods like education or healthcare. And when they talked positively about that, what were the words they chose? Now, we released this 2 years ago, and this is a good example of one of our other approaches, as we try to master the craft at first. So 2 years ago, we released a version based on United States elected officials. And last year, we updated it and released a new version. And this year, 4 weeks ago, we released the third USA version. I'm pleased to say, though, that this year, we are breaking out of the United States. Two weeks ago, we released the Canadian version. Next week, we'll be releasing the Australian version, and next on our list is Mexico. So we're looking very forward to that. We now have the ability to scan all the social media postings, all the communications, all the press releases, all the official statements, all the bills that have been introduced or committee testimony of all the federal officials in Mexico. And we will actually harness that, scan that, search it, and come up with as many good conclusions as we can to share with you. Research, it's the core of what we do. The Destination Organization Performance Report is actually one of the core reports that is free to our members, and it's important because it actually allows you to benchmark yourself against your competitors or your peers, depending on your point of view. We produce a compensation and benefit study. As Eduardo alluded to, we spent a lot of time looking into travel bans and boycotts. Our weaponization of travel study follows that. And then our signature report, the Destination Next Future Study, which now is a report that we produce every 2 years. And after 6 months of pandemic, I went and reread it the other day, and it is still as relevant as it was, a year ago. It's major finding, it's major direction, not only for the destination organizations, but for destinations in general, is truly right on target. In the area of education, so very, very important. It took us a while to get control of everything and rebuild everything and understand everything and now to share everything. But we've built an online learning center with live and on-demand webinars and thought leadership throughout the year. We have a PDM program, the Professional and Destination Management Program, which is going virtual and coming soon. It's a certificate program geared toward those who are kind of new to the industry or have just transferred to a destination organization. Certificate Destination Management Executive, our proudest achievement, and that is the program that is aimed at the individual, geared at bringing them to the best that they can be, introducing them to a network of people who are not only their peers, but their allies and their friends and their confidants, but also learning from each other and learning from experts throughout the industry that we bring in. It's an outstanding program, and it is something that we hope to take international. Summits. We have what we call vertical summits, summits that are built around various parts of a destination organization. So convention sales and service, or marketing, or visitor services. But then we also have the horizontal summits, the CEO summit and the advocacy summit, which really talk about discipline that crosses boundaries of specific jobs. And then of course our annual convention, which is, in my opinion, the premier event. Those years that I spent at at Choose Chicago could not have been successful without access to that annual convention, the things that I learned there. And then our key tools. The Event Impact Calculator, the industry standard for measuring economic impact of events. It really is. We have once and for all, I think, really managed and come up with an agreeable measurement that all of us can get behind and all of us can defend. A measurement, a calculator that calculates to the destination as opposed to just using stats that go across the board. Each destination has its unique set of economic factors that play into producing the economic impact. We have 4 of these already, and I'll touch on them hopefully in a minute. The CDME, again, our core power. It is the highest individual achievement, and soon to release will be the FCDME. DMAP, which instead of looking at the individual, looks at the organization and really defines quality and performance standards. I'm pleased to say that we have revised every standard over the last 3 years, and now we're going to start over and do it all again. It is very current, it is very real, and it really gives you an opportunity to benchmark. And what's really new about this program is we now have the ability to connect you with others who are going through the program to form that peer group of support. And then Destination Next, taking the future study and the information and elements of that study and moving forward and creating an assessment and a seminar, which really has become, in many respects, not only the SWOT analysis of our industry, but has become the premier tool to build stakeholder involvement and coalition support for destination organizations. And then the destination search tool, we've rebuilt our whole meetings tool, which allows meetings to find destinations through our information. And we've also created the We're Here to Help recovery campaign that is really focused on meetings, events, and travels, and the pause that may be occurring now, but when we're ready, we are ready, really focusing on the industry and those who are in the meetings industry and making them understand, making them remember that the destination organization is the one that's at the core of everything. And that's where they want to start when they start to come back. I probably talked too long, but I am passionate about this. The only thing I can say beyond that is Don did not have to beg me, because this is something I'm passionate about, and all he had to do was ask, and I said yes. So thank you.
That is perfect. I think you gave a wonderful background of everything that offers Destinations International, which I really think that is the organization we should take advantage of and try to bring all those wonderful products to our important region. Don, I would like to challenge you a little bit in the sense that the role of the destination organization, people, staff, in this very difficult moment for supply and for demand. So I will like you to touch upon the characteristics that you need in a DO in order to try to appeal to those affectations, psychological affectations, economic affectations of the client, but also of the value chain of the destination. So he's the perfect bridge between those two worlds. I don't know if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'll maybe share some perspective on things. And first of all, Jack gave you just a little snippet of the brilliance of his work, and that is about 4+ years worth of work. Every time I get on calls with Ana Maria, I get really passionate about the opportunities I see within Latin America. So again, I thank you for this opportunity. And before I answer your question, Eduardo, because maybe this sort of puts in my mind about what a destination is and leaders. If I was in Seattle, if you asked me what the favorite city in the world was, it was Seattle. When I was in Indianapolis, same thing in Chicago. But in this job now with having 600 members, I love all my children. But I will tell you, in my almost 5 years here now, there's been one trip that I've taken that I will tell you affected my mind and affected my soul. And it's been with me forever. And my wife, Jean, was with me on this trip as well. And that was our trip to Medellin. And Ana Maria arranged that, and Ana Maria and Medellin arranged for that. And in addition to the beauty of the destination, I had the privilege of spending about an hour with the mayor there, because you're asking me about like what happens. And I'll never forget the impact this mayor had on me in terms of his passion for his community, and literally going into the school districts to make sure why kids weren't in school that day, and finding out maybe they didn't have clothes or they didn't have the right. And I will tell you, that to me was a great example of leadership that I think is transferable to what we do. So I think the first thing that's got to happen is, we've been very fortunate now for about a decade where around the world, business has been pretty good. There's been some ups and downs, but you know, right now what we're having to do is sort of reassess what destinations do. And right now, I will tell you, across the world, and I think Jack would support this, I think we've done a poor job, whether you're sitting in Latin America or whether you're sitting in New York City, talking about the relevance of what we do. In the United States, you may have been following right now that we're one of the few industries yet that is not part of about a $4 trillion aid package. So we've done a poor job around the world of telling the importance of what we do for our stakeholders. So I'd say, to answer your question, Eduardo, well, whoever the leaders are in your community right now, there's multiple people that you've got to serve. One will be your local community, as Jack talked about, and the other will be, you know, whether you're in a leisure market, whether you're in meetings, events, the MICE market, there's a lot of different pieces right now. So, you know, my comments in general, and I hope you take them, this is the way they're intended. This is a time when leaders lead. You know, everybody can lead when times are good. And, you know, there's not a whole lot of, but when things are really, really tough, this is when leaders will step up, and they'll be bold in their thinking, and they'll be collaborative, and they'll be passionate in how they embrace their community. And I just think right now that you're in beautiful parts of the world. We're gonna have to work real hard around the world to get travelers traveling again. But if we do our job collectively in this universe of destination organizations, not just the 600 we represent, but around the world, I think we have an opportunity to really do some pretty bold things. But some of the fundamentals that Jack gave you, I think if you're not doing them, whether you're a member of DI or what, it does not matter. Take that roadmap that he's given you in terms of the strategic thinking on the community shared value and the lexicon of how you then interpret that for your own destination. And I think you'll be way down the road, regardless of who the stakeholders. So Eduardo, I don't know whether I answered your question, but
yeah.
You know.
No, you did a wonderful job. But what I feel now is that we have a very important role in the community and in the market. We have, it is not completely valued, but we have to work a lot on the advocacy side. But then there's another problem, which is, okay, we have a big responsibility on our shoulders to recover the economy and the psychology of our communities. And I would like Gracie to come back again with the microphone to tell us a big challenge that we have is finance, money, budget. I mean, where do we get our, because I mean, we always thought, okay, the model of the US DMOs is the perfect because it comes directly from the hotel tax. But now that there are no visitors in the hotel rooms, what do we do with that? So which is the perfect formula, Gracio? Which is the ideal formula?
I wish I could give you a pretty direct answer for that, because that would be very helpful for around the world. But unfortunately, that's not easy. What I do think is that we are all on the same boat in here. We need to diversify our sources of fundings and not only think hotel taxes. And for our friends that are listening from around the world that do not know that much about Latin America, in these smaller places especially, there is pretty much no tax, no hotel tax. It's in the majority of the destinations, we do have this levy that is an optional volunteered something that the guest may or may not offer when he's at the hotel. So this is nothing's going to change in our daily lives if we only think the same. We also have the same model in terms of the share. So 80% of our, especially in Brazil, 80% of the funding comes from hotel, not taxes. Let's say taxes, so everybody understands, but it is a levy. And the other 20% comes from very small entrepreneurs, the translators, the PCOs, or the travel agencies, and the restaurants, and they're all closed right now. So nobody can actually pace, and nobody can afford to do something right now for our recover as organizations. And this is happening all around the world. So, and we need to reshape, and we need to do these and that, and we need to help and support our community. So for me, we have to be creative. The answer for this is now partnership, alliances. This is we have to be creative. We have to work together as a community in a volunteer basis. That's what's happening. And we have to diversify. And diversify means, what are other types of taxes that works in this destination, in that destination, that I could adapt and implement in my culture, in my city? And we can bring some very good examples from our neighborhood areas, like in Iguazu Falls. They do have an attraction tax that works very well. In some other destinations like Bonito in Brazil, they do have these restaurant tax or table tax. I know that in Chicago, you pay, the closer you are for McCormick Place or the Navy Pier, you pay different types of taxes depending on the restaurant or on the hotel that you are. We've seen like car tax that helped and supported some important investments in Orlando. So there are many examples around the world. We need to share these ideas, and we have to be creative, and we also need to think non-industry partners. Corporate sector, what is the main important industry that you have in your community? Go there, knock their doors, and offer value. That's what I was saying when we need to adapt our what we do and show in different ways what we do and who we are. Because at the end of the day, if I'm talking to a government, or if I'm talking to an airline company asking for tickets, I have to have numbers, and I need to show them a different vision of who I am and what I do. I need to speak their language and bring value for that specific target audience. So there are opportunities there. We have to be creative, and we have to, hold hands and do this together. We are all on the same boat. I wish we could all have business tourism districts in every place in Latin America. That would help us a lot. But we know that our culture is different. We know our political staff, or let's say, I have to be very cautious saying that, what Don and Jack have seen happening in Chicago when public and private organizations joined forces, and what I've seen, for example, in Houston, that I was working for Houston CVB, Greater Houston CVB, and then it's Houston First right now. It's something that it is very challenging for a Latin American community, culture. And we work as the majority of the DMOs work very independently from our governments. And sometimes here and there, we are friends, and we get some grants or some funds, some different types of funds. And if you are in a very touristic destination, you are lucky to have better funding from governments as well. If you're not, if you're a business destination, if you depend on business meetings, that's maybe a little bit more complicated. So there are opportunities. We need to be creative and keep knocking doors. Keep knocking doors.
Eduardo, can I just interject from what Grazi just said, which was basically, she gave you a narrative around the world, which was great. And I'd say right now, for destinations that have had really fixed revenue sources, that sort of is all on the table right now. And I don't care where you are in the world right now, that people are fighting for funding, and Jack may want to comment on this. But one of the things that's been interesting in the last few weeks is, as I told you, the destination organizations have not received direct funding from the US government. But what's happening is the US government is giving money to states and cities. And somehow they're reallocating money to the destination organizations to be used for the restarting of tourism in their communities. And it's been an interesting way to see this. So the reality is, I think Grazi said, you've got to find a way to be extremely creative and tell your story, because everyone's going to be fighting for money. So money sources you probably have always had, they may be questioned. And it's taking great creativity, but I would say collaboration is going to be incredibly important.
Very much, I would echo that. Every government is been hit with loss of revenues. So if we were not already a target for government to raise revenues from, we are now. Where I've seen true success is where the destination organizations have developed these working relationships, and there are several places in the United States. My favorite place, though, is in British Columbia. The folks there have really developed a great working relationship with the Canadian province of British Columbia, and have literally gotten themselves a lifeline to stay open and stay alive, because hotel taxes are in most of the big places is gone. The other thing I would point out is, again, it's the partnerships, it's the collaboration, but it's also that community will. It goes back to what we've been saying since 2008, which is, if you build a place that people want to visit, then you've built a place where they want to live. And if you build a place where they want to live, they want to work. Well, talent is the #1 commodity out there in terms of business relocation or business growth or business expansion. And the one thing that's going to get you talent is being a place that people know of and want heard of and want to go to. And that's all about the destination organization doing their job. So Tulsa in Oklahoma, in the United States, is a great example where the corporate community has come forward and put up like $2.5 million, which is being matched by the government, and really fleshed out their budget. Tourism districts, I love them. Make them as diverse as possible. In Chicago, if I had succeeded before we left in doing that, I would have made sure that all our sports stadiums were covered by that, and we would have taxed them, because right now that would be the hope, because the first thing that's coming back, particularly in the small and medium destinations, is the sporting events. People are willing to do that, pro and amateur. So that's someone you need in the loop. But yeah, partnerships, diversify your funding, totally embrace that.
Very good. Now that you touched upon the talent, I would like to ask Ana Maria to touch a little bit on that, because I'm a little fearful of these times, because maybe we will depend a lot on the public money and the public support, and our governments are not very stable in Latin America, so the continuity may be in risk. And that's my only concern about depending a lot on public money right now. But not only that, continuity is so important. Then I come to the talent part. So Ana Maria, can you tell me, because right now we will have great opportunities for smaller destinations in this phase where we will have internal meetings and then grow from local to regional, etc. So we will have destinations that were not used to host some type of visitation. They will have to do it right now. But I don't know if they have staff or they are volunteers in the bureaus, or because that's what we're experiencing in Latin America. We don't have structures that can support a lot of these things. And then once they learn, they're gone, because another governor comes and puts another people that doesn't have an idea. So how do we go through these challenges in Latin America?
I'm muted.
I think we're not listening.
Right balance. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Eduardo. I think it's striking the right balance between the abilities that we have within our bureaus and the capacity to work.
This is the bad thing about
Direct.
digital.
I talk a lot about public-private partnerships. Can you hear me well? Sí, Eduardo,
Now,
¿me
yes.
oyen?
Yeah, but
Okay,
a little cut.
perfect. Okay. So how do we keep our talent and how do we prepare our destinations? First, we need the right people at our bureaus, at our destination organizations. And if government interferes too much, then we lose this wonderful talent and they end up going elsewhere. We have seen it in many of our destinations in Latin America. I mean, no offense to our friends from government who are joining us tonight, but egos have to be put aside and we need the best talents in our communities to lead our destination organizations. I love the comment that you made, Jack. When we speak of tourism, I like to use the phrase, the economy of the visitor. If you build a destination, like you said, Jack, if you build a destination that people want to visit, you are building a destination where people want to work. If people want to work there, it's because there's very good investment. And if there's very good investment, people will come back. I learned that in my CDME course. So first, in terms of talent, I know these are difficult times. We must retain the best talent in our destination organizations. And in our cultures, sometimes the payment for some of those leaders in destination organizations compete awfully with our hoteliers and other private sector industries. So not only payment, but the best talent. Creating the different committees. We have seen examples of destinations, for example, Indianapolis. I was just listening to Leonard Hoops last week about all the different committees that they had in the city so that they make sure that they continue to work. So restaurants had a committee, hoteliers had a committee, attractions had a committee, transportation had a committee. Why do I mention committees? Because they're gonna continue with those committees until the city is ready to welcome all the visitors that they can welcome to the destination. Also in terms of the talent, certifications and the professionalization that we need in our industry is extremely, extremely important, but we need our communities to be involved in this talent. We need to tell a better story of what we actually do. Many of our destinations in Latin America, they have concentrated so hard in bringing business from outside that we have forgotten to tell our neighbors, to tell our communities what we really do. And if our communities were to learn and were to find out the wonderful economic impact, the legacy, and the knowledge sharing that we provide by bringing visitors to our destinations, we would have the best people sitting at the CEO level and in the different bureaus. I am amazed to see, and I say this with a lot of respect, how in so many destinations, because of lack of money and government funding, we had to let go people. The brightest people sit in our industry, and we need sales and marketing more than ever. And I'm not saying that 6 months ago we were ready to sell, but we were ready to tell stories. And who is telling our stories? Así que Eduardo, I would combine the talent that we need in our destinations with the approach in keeping the clients aware of what's happening in our destinations, share our wonderful values and the stories that are taking place to come out of this pandemic. That shows resilience. And then that will bring business again. In terms of talent, I would mention two talents. And many of the folks that are listening to us right now are small enterprises, medium enterprises, bureau employees. We need two wonderful talents. We need a leader that leads in a destination organization, and we need a hell of a chairman of the board in that destination organization. When you put those two talents together, we can conquer the world. And I say this lovingly. In our regions, when you look at the destinations, small destinations in Brazil that we had the pleasure of listening in the Monday talks for 20 weeks, there were destinations where government and private sector joined forces. But going back to talent, is the combination of the talent of the CEO, the talent of the chairman, and if you don't have a good chairman, Start working your way around and find a leader. We need champions that believe in our destinations, that they are enamored of our destination. I will give you the example of, for example, Barranquilla. The mayor did said, I don't want a new destination organization. You guys sit together and figure out how you're gonna do this. Well, guess what? They have a destination team and they have a private sector that is pushing and pushing, and they're actually telling the government what to do. So wonderful talent within the organization, a heck of a chairman that will move things around and will whisper in the right ears in government. That is for our cultures. And one thing where I believe DI can help immensely, we need our communities of bureaus to understand governance. Our bureaus cannot be run as a non-for-profit organization. That's why we need talented leaders to lead the destination organizations. I hope that answered, Eduardo.
Oh yeah, you did it. And you did a very nice job. And I also think, and I am completely sure and very proud that I think in Latin America, we have those soft skills that are needed for the current situation of the market. We're flexible, we're creative, and we're very empathetic when it's about dealing with the client and with the concerns of the public. So I think that we have some assets that we have to reinforce, and we have some challenges that we have to work upon those.
And in that, Eduardo, I couldn't agree with you more. I believe we have the solidarity in our region to work with each other. I believe we have the tenacity to whatever comes our way, we can make it happen. And we have the sensibility of our cultures and our values. And I know Jack mentioned Destination Next and how he sees even with the pandemic that is still the same. Well, guess what? Every single community where Destination Next has been brought up around the world or in Latin America, when the communities hear what really a destination organization is all about, even the media, they go, okay, now we know what we have to do. So go back again. We need to cherish those bureau employees in our region and make sure we keep them in their places.
And we spoke very nicely about Latin America, but I would, and Latin American trades, that has to be also said by our North American friends, Don and Jack. What do you think about the strengths of our region?
Be candid, be candid.
Jack, why don't you go and then I'll go.
I think every region amazingly has advantages and stuff. We talk about the evolution, you talk about being 10 years or so behind where we are. I think this pandemic, this year of interruption in our business probably could be, as Don said, a great equalizer. Because this is a strategic inflection point where, frankly, the rules kind of have changed. The basic rules that govern how we do everything has kind of changed a little bit. So the people that come out on the outside of this, maybe who aren't wedded to the things we've been doing since 1898 or 96, I forget when we started in Detroit, I think that I'm quite optimistic, frankly. Very optimistic about what can be developed here. And it's fresh and it's new and there's so much of it. It's just so many opportunities there.
Very good. Can we have a final message from every one of the wonderful panelists, please, Don?
I'll just say that, first of all, it's great to see all of you. I hope we added just a little bit of information for you this evening. And if you can take one piece of data away, I must tell you, I'm not a CDME, but after watching Graciela and Ana Maria, I'm going to probably go get my CDME because I watched two people from different parts of the world articulate a global strategy better than probably I could, or maybe even Jack. And I think that sort of maybe will be the answer to what we're all dealing with. My message, I've been saying this since the beginning of March when this thing hit, and that is you're not alone. No matter how isolated you feel right now, and I know right now it's tough sometimes getting up in the morning and being inspired to go to work, and that's okay. And if you're feeling that way, you're going to have your ups and downs. But my message to you is there are solutions out there to your problem. And you're just going to have to get really creative. You're going to have to think outside the box. And I do think my own personal opinion is this pandemic has given all of us an opportunity to do a reset and not be concerned about what we didn't do in the past, but more importantly, think about what we can do in the future. And I think, again, it all is going to get back to leadership too. Bold leadership to be accountable. At the end of the day, it's leadership and accountability and trying different things. And if you fail, you fail. Just don't make the same mistake twice. So I'm inspired from hearing a lot of our colleagues tonight, and I get blown away every time I hear Jack's information. I pick up one more tidbit. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Very inspiring, your words. Gracie, final message, please.
All right. So first I have to say that, again, Eduardo, Ana Maria, and I, and all of our friends that are hearing from us in here, and Silvana, and everybody that put together this amazing program, we are on a mission. Our mission is to do our best and to learn from the best from around the world in this industry so that we can help and we can support our communities, our destinations, our organizations, our friends in the market to make it better. We do not have a crystal ball. We do not have all these solutions. It's not easy. Nobody said it was going to. It is just supposed to mean to be more meaningful destination marketing. It's just supposed to be worth it, and it really is. So now more than ever, I guess everybody understood how much we love to travel and to meet and to hug other people. And the lockdown made us realize that we do not need more stuff. We really value the experiences that we share, and we share with people, friends and families and colleagues. And we wish we could have been in the same venue, having a Malbec right now all together. But, you know, it is what it is. So tequila or caipirinha. So it is what it is. And we are excited, and we take pictures of this webinar, what we just learned from you, and when we share it, that's what we want to do, what we want to share, right? So I guess this is what makes life meaningful: sharing experiences, sharing with the people that we love, that we care. And at the end of the day, this is what we do as a DMO. This is what we do. We give meaning. We make lives more meaningful with the travel and the meetings that we help organize in our destinations. So we are a multi-tasking industry, and we are a kind of a conjunction of several disciplines. And we create value for the places that we live, for people living there, studying, investing, working, visiting, of course. So through our the experiences that we can propose in terms of the meetings that we help organize and the travel experiences that we offer, we really make humanity evolve. We bring humanity wisdom. We bring their experiences, and I guess this is what our mission and our roles really are, and we need to understand it. It is the way it is.
Very nice. You're very right. And when you started speaking about the work we've done with the Latin American Association, I think this is the moment also to compliment and to recognize Silvana's work as a leader, because I think that the way she has engaged all the Latin American destinations every Monday since this problem started, I think it has been amazing. And I think she understood perfectly the timing where a leader like her was needed for the region. And she did a wonderful job. And I'm glad we teamed up with her, because I am very proud of that work. Ana Maria, please, your last message.
Thank you. I echo your comments about Silvana and the wonderful job she's doing, her bold leadership going against the current, if you will, in many of the things that she's been doing, and also the board of directors of the association. The commitment has been amazing. I want my last comments to be not only inspiring, but to be gutsy. Why do we need to be gutsy? Because everyone talks about MICE industry or the tourism industry. Well, guess what? I am convinced we are in the economic development world. We have a seat at the table of economic development. travel. Whether you go for a small meeting, a congress, or whether you go for a vacation, travel has the power to transform socially and economically any destination. When we start changing the way we speak about our destination organizations and what we bring to our communities, they're gonna start listening to us. Destination organizations are the engines of economic development. And don't quote me, quote wonderful people that work along with Destination International. This is the wonderful job of Adam Sachs and the brilliant work of when you do a very good promotion for your destination, promotion, comercialización, porque aquí no estamos para promover, aquí estamos para comercializar, aquí estamos para vender las maravillas de nuestro destino. When you unite a very good promotion for your destination, you have better networks, you have better events coming to your destination, you raise the profile of your destination, your community raises the quality of life. And I honestly believe what we do for a living raises the quality of life of the people that we serve and we work alongside. Don, you said it very right. We are not alone. No estamos solos. One of the greatest benefits that I believe we have in this forum and this association, when you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call a friend. Put away your fears. Ask for help. Someone else is going through your same pain. So having said that, I believe, again, like Eduardo said, we are in a very unique position. Yesterday, we heard from Paul Wimet and Oscar Cerezales. Yes, there are challenges, but there are opportunities. Do not let not even one opportunity go away. We need to reset. And how do we reset? I saw some of the comments saying, how do we get my community to work with me? The resetting, focus on your community, focus on your clients, and focus on your organization. When you do that, you will raise the profile of the organization. I honestly believe the pandemic will be here for a little longer, but the travel has the power to create engines of motivation, and we're gonna get people to travel and come to our destinations once again. So bravo to destinations organizations for your resilience, and don't you ever give up.
Very nice. Jack, please, your final message.
This is a time when I think we all are kind of trying to boil down to figure out what is essential. And I guess building off of what I said before, that's the great equalizer. We all have to do what we need to do with less resources, with less people. But as Maria has pointed out, we have so many people in our industry who are willing to share. Much of what I've talked about today at Destinations International, please go to the website. A lot of it is available whether you're a member or a non-member, including the DNEX study. There's so many people willing to help. This is the brilliance of this industry. I've never been in an industry like this where everyone, sits down with each other, has a Malbec, has a conversation, and shares what they've learned. You're right. This is a joint effort by all of us because we're really, if you think about it, all on the same team, all working toward the same goal, which is just basically to unite everyone in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Well, my friends, it has been, as I said, a big pleasure to be with the leaders that are instrumental for one very special thing, connecting the experience of the visitor with the quality of life of the communities. This is a brilliant profession, and we're so passionate about it. Thank you for the opportunity. And Silvana, back to you.
Acá estamos. Muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos. La verdad es que gracias por sus palabras, amigos. Estoy muy feliz de haber podido concretar este foro. Lo hemos hecho en equipo. Y eso deseo que por favor generemos la traducción para nuestros amigos. Yo creo que este foro no podría haberse desarrollado si no hubiésemos sido un equipo que trabajó en el programa académico, este programa de excelencia, un equipo que trabajó en la comercialización, un equipo que trabajó en el diseño. Así que mi agradecimiento es para ustedes. Creo que hoy quizás yo soy la figura visible de un trabajo de muchos participantes, de los miembros de la Junta Directiva, de Eduardo, Graciela, Ana María, de los convenios que suscribimos con Destinations, con Geninich y con Cocal. Creo que eso es el resultado de este trabajo en equipo. Te pido, Edu, si sos tan amable de traducirlo.
Yeah, Don and Jack, Silvana was talking about how important was the teamwork for putting together this expo and forum for the whole region, with the partnerships with all the meeting and tourism organizations, and with the great work in the exhibition part, in the education part, and in the several digital elements of this event. So she was complimenting on the teamwork and, of course, with great leadership.
It's our pleasure. I thank her for her leadership.
Te agradece mucho, Silvana.
Bueno, fue un foro de líderes realmente. Hemos logrado reunir en este contexto virtual a los líderes de la región y la industria que todos dando un mensaje unívoco vinculado a la reactivación. Así que muchas gracias, Don, muchas gracias, Jack, querida Ana María, querido Eduardo, querida Graciela. Ha sido un placer acompañarlos en este panel, la verdad que un lujo como todo el programa académico que hemos tenido, y los esperamos mañana. No se olviden que ahora tenemos un brindis virtual, los esperamos mañana a partir de las 9 horas de México, por el mismo canal, en el mismo sitio web, así que no se lo pierdan porque todavía tenemos un gran programa académico para desarrollar, y no se olviden también 17 y 18 sigue la Expo y las rondas de negocio, más de 1.200 rondas de negocio en el marco de este evento. Muchas gracias, nos vemos mañana. Hasta luego.
Gracias, felicidades.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Bye.